What is going wrong at Liverpool? We started the season well, winning 7 out of 7. 5 in the Premier League, 1 in the Champions League, and 1 in the Carabao Cup. Since then, we have done back-to-back defeats to Crystal Palace and Galatasaray. Now, it was obviously coming. If you've watched any of our games, we haven't been great this season. We've had good moments. We've had a period against Atletico, a period against Everton. You know, in some games, even though we weren't great, we never looked like losing, so that's good. But there's been far too many moments where we just looked poor. The game against Galatasaray yesterday is the worst performance of the season. Let's not get that wrong. The amount of misplaced passes was horrendous. And then coming away with a loss and Alisson and Ekitike injured. Hopefully not for too long. I'm not sure about the details on those, but it was just a very poor evening all around. And you've got to ask the question, what has happened? What's different to last season? Well, we can go through that quickly. I'm not going to make this like a structured video. This is just going to be me talking. So if you don't like that kind of video, then sorry. But here we are. So we have to start with the obvious. We don't know the exact impact of players that aren't there anymore, of what that's done to the squad. Obviously, the Jota death is massive. I mean, that will affect you every game. I mean, I imagine they go into that dressing room thinking, Jota would have got us a goal there. I can imagine that going through some of their players' minds and some of the coaches' minds and, you know, even some of the fans' minds of thinking, well, maybe Jota would have got an equaliser there. That's natural, that's going to happen. But you also look at players like Nunez and Diaz leaving, and of course, a big one is Trent. I know I might get a bit of stick for that, but he was a massive loss, and you can see that. I mean, we'll talk about the South Americans first. I mean, obviously, they seem to have a really good connection with other players in the squad. I think even Salah come out and said it, that the new players haven't quite got the connection as fast as, say, Nunez and Diaz had. And I feel like Salah always seemed to play better when Nunez was there. Even though Nunez would miss a lot of chances, we'd create a lot of chances. And again, I think that's down to some of the other players that are missing. I mean, Diaz was an absolute workhorse, whether you put it in the middle or on the left. He just worked harder than anyone up front. He was very frustrating at times. I think we're all more than happy with the money we've got from Bayern. So I don't think we would have got a better offer at any point. But his work rate was incredible. I mean, it really helped Robertson out as he was starting to slow down, and it really put the pressure on the defenders and helped us win the ball back. So we are missing Diaz a lot. I think we are missing Nunez just for his chaos and something different to bring off the bench, because he is just something different, isn't he? But I think the biggest miss is Trent. Trent was our creative driving force. Not only with, you know, the way he could pass the ball, but the space he could make for others by just being such a threat from right back. I mean, we just have to look at Salah this season. What's different between Salah this season and last season? Okay, you can say he's older, blah, blah, blah. He's missing Trent. I think that is the biggest issue. Because now teams can double up on Salah. They can have their left back, they can have a centre mid come over, they can have the winger come back. He can be doubled up on. Whereas last season with Trent there, the winger has to close Trent down. So if you give Trent time, he's going to find the pass. Same with the midfielder. So it leaves Salah open. It also means he can make the runs in behind, knowing Trent can find him. And that was absolutely massive. And I think we are crucially missing that this season. Nothing we can do about that, unfortunately. Obviously, we brought in Frimpong to compete with Bradley at right back, and he obviously started right wing. Unfortunately, he looked absolutely lost every time he got near the box. If Salah started yesterday, the amount of times we got in on that right-hand side, on near the side of the box, edge of the box, whatever you want to call it, Salah probably would have found the right pass or the right move once or twice. Frimpong just didn't seem to know what to do. He'd take it to the byline every single time and then either win a corner or just go for a goal kick. Whereas Salah would do something different. He'd take on the man, he'd have a shot, he'd put in a good cross. So I think Salah should have started last night, but either way, we're not talking about just last night. I think Frimpong, I think he's been okay, but he's obviously not at the level that Trent was. And I don't think Bradley is either, unfortunately. I don't think either of them are amazing defensively. I think Frimpong He reminds me a bit of Kyle Walker. I think he's at the moment, a slightly worse version of Kyle Walker, which I'm not trying to like downplay Frimpong. I do think he's a good player still. But what I mean by that is I don't think he's defensively great. Like Kyle Walker, I don't think he's actually good at tackling, but he has pace to get back. If he can just improve that tackling a little bit so he doesn't always have to chase back as much, then I think he'll be really, really good right back. With Bradley, I think he just dives in too much. He's too eager. We saw that last night. He got a yellow card not long after coming on. He just went straight through the back of a player. It was a silly challenge. He was never going to win the ball. And I think with more game time and a bit more growing up, because he's a young lad, he will learn to time his challenges better. But for now, I think we are going to obviously struggle creatively from right back and throughout the team. Obviously, Wirtz was the player brought in to provide that creative spark now. But we, in the last, since Klopp's taken over, really, we haven't really had a midfielder like him. The closest one would be Coutinho. He'd probably be the most similar, but he left in 2018. And even then, he was played more of like a forward. Sometimes he'd be in that middle three, sometimes he'd be on the wing, sometimes he'd just be off the striker. And obviously it went well, but we did have Salah, Mane, and Firmino, three of the hardest working forwards in the history of the game as a trio. So they'd work hard so Coutinho wouldn't have to. Now we've got Gakpo, Salah, and Isak or Ekitike. I think they all still work hard, but I don't think they're as intense in the press. Salah certainly isn't anymore. Isak and Ekitike won't be as much as Firmino, and they don't sort of provide that foil of dropping in as well as Firmino could, I don't think. I think Ekitike's got the potential to be a Firmino player, but he's not there yet. We saw that yesterday. He kept giving the ball away. He tried to see out for a throw-in at one point and just got the ball taken off him. Obviously, he's injured now, so that's upsetting. And Isak's obviously just a 9, so like that is completely different. And then on the left, I do like Gakpo. He is a frustrating player at times. I think he gets more hate than he should from the fan base. But yeah, he's not going to provide that press that Mane used to. Mane was the presser in the team, and I think Diaz did well to sort of match that. He was very good at it as well, but Gakpo doesn't quite have that in him. So yeah, going back to Wirtz though, I'm just not sure how it's going to work because we don't have the midfield that would sort of suit having a 10. Because I feel like Gravenberch and McAllister, I don't think there's enough athleticism in McAllister. But then when we have Szoboszlai in there with Gravenberch instead, it's almost like we don't have composure. I mean, obviously Gravenberch got a lot of composure. And I do think Szoboszlai has some to a degree, but not as much as McAllister. But then McAllister's not as physically capable as Szoboszlai is. So it's really hard to find the mix. That's why the three of them worked so well together last year, because there is that mix of power and precision and class that made it work. And I think for now, we should revert back to that. I think Wirtz should maybe take a seat on the bench. Not because I think he's been playing bad. I know he's double 08, even though he got an assist in the Community Shield. Which if he didn't get an assist in the Community Shield, by the way, that definitely would have counted. People would have definitely counted that. But whatever, it doesn't really bother me that much. But yeah, I feel like just for now, just to get the team sort of settled and back into a rhythm, we should revert back to the old system. And it's just really tough though, isn't it? Because we spent all this money on him, so can we do that? I think we can, and I think we will. But honestly, to sort of fit him in my head, it's almost like a change of formation. And I think if we would have signed Mark Gahey, it could have happened. I don't think it can, especially with Leone being injured. I think maybe if Leone wasn't injured, we could try it. But in my mind, I'm sort of like a 3-4-3 would have been possibly very good. Now, you might be like, hang on a minute, what? But in my head, I would have had Van Dijk, Gahey, and Konate, and then I would have had, as a right midfielder, I would have Frimpong, left midfielder Kirkhouse. You could have it as a 5 at the back, you could also say. You could say it's like a 5-2-3. And then Gravenberch and Szoboszlai in the middle, with Wirtz as the left forward, like a left inside forward, Salah as the right inside forward, and then whatever striker you want. Because they can obviously push wide when needed, or they can come in. And I just feel like that system would help Wirtz more. Or maybe you could even just go for like a diamond shape instead, where we have Ekitike and Isak, or Isak and Salah up front, and they can go wide when they want, with Wirtz just behind, and then our midfield three from last season could be like a little diamond behind Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai, and you could sort of go that way. I just feel like if we are going to put Wirtz in, we do need to accompany him, because he's not a left winger. He is a 10, but we don't play system to a 10. We just don't do that. So it's really awkward. So unless we just sort of keep going with the teething problem until we sort of get it right, then I feel like we need to either just drop Wirtz for now and work on a new system, or just completely go for the new system and hope it works straight away. But I think he will be a class player for Liverpool. I think for the next 10 years, he's going to be one of the best players in the world. Obviously, he's not started great. But look at Caicedo for Chelsea a couple of years ago. Didn't start great, now doing great. I saw a post about Modric, the worst transfer in 2012 by a La Liga side. That's what he was voted, the worst transfer. Spurs and Real Madrid. He's won like 6 Champions Leagues and a Ballon d'Or since then. So the first season isn't always, the marker of how a player's going to turn out. And I think he will be great. Going on to, obviously, Kirkez, he's been a bit hit and miss. He's had some good games, some good moments. People were on him for the Arsenal game. I didn't understand that. Madueke had a great game. Don't get me wrong. But can you think of a clear chance Madueke had? He didn't have one. Because Kirkez blocked everything. Every time he got near the box, he blocked everything that Madueke tried. So, he's had some good moments. Obviously, he's had bad moments. The Burnley game, horrendous. Stuff like that. But I think he'll come good. Frimpong, as I said, he's been quite average so far, but I think there is a good player in there. Wirtz, I have no worries about. Leone, unfortunately, the injury. Onto the 2 strikers. Isak is obviously getting up to fitness. We need that to happen soon. We really do. We need him to start firing. And Ekitike has been great. Silly with the red card. But sometimes, that happens with young players. It's here at the moment. He just didn't think, did he? I think he was trying to show, even though Isak's here, I'm still here. I think that was kind of what it was. I think he was trying to give himself a little ego boost and just, remind the management team that he is still, capable of leading that line himself. But yeah, hopefully we can figure out what is wrong. That it could be a number of things. It could be what's happened in the summer. It could be the players leaving. It could be the new players coming in. It could be the formation. It could literally just be our players are out of form. That does happen sometimes. Sometimes players are in bad form. And sometimes, very rarely, it happens to a lot of the team. I think, so far, if I was to name our 5 best players this season, it'd be Alisson in goal, Van Dijk, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and Ekitike. So none of our wide players have been very good, in my opinion. Konate has about 2 good games out of the 8 that we played. Woeful. Or 9, maybe. Whatever games he's played, I think he's had 2 decent ones, and that's it. McAllister just isn't up to speed, just doesn't seem fit. I know he had a little bit of an injury and came back later. Gakpo's just been okay. Engamoa, he's a talent, so we're not going to count him yet. Chiesa's been good, but he hasn't played enough to sort of really rate him. In my opinion, he should be starting left wing. He should be starting left wing, in my opinion. When we signed him, I thought, how would we sign Chiesa for 14 million? 5 years ago, he was one of the best wingers on the planet. I still think he can be. He's shown glimpses of being great. That game against Southampton, he was brilliant. I know he was unfortunately injured and he's got a bad injury record. But if we can get him fit and we can start him, I would start him. But yeah, hopefully Slot and the management team can sort it out. Hopefully we can go into the weekend and beat Chelsea. And after the international break, which is coming up soon, hopefully everything is sorted and we can go on a real run. I'm not too worried as it stands. We're still top of the league. In the Champions League, it proved last year you don't need to win the group stage. We did that. We went out the next bloody round we played. PSG came like 15th or whatever it was and they won the competition. So as long as we finish in the top 24, that's fine. I feel like we need like 12 or 13 points to do that. We've already got 3 out of 6. We'll be okay. We're into the next round of the Carabao Cup. So yeah, I'm not like too concerned as it is. I'd be more concerned if we were still playing like this up to December. Then I'd be concerned. But for now, I think we're okay. Hopefully it gets sorted soon. Whatever tweaks that Slot's going to make, I'm sure he'll figure it out. A lot of people seem to be calling Slot to leave. I've seen that on Twitter. Slot out. Are you mental? He won us a league title last season. Come on, let's not be silly. Let's not be silly. If he somehow finished 12th this year, then maybe I could see it. That's not going to happen. He's going to turn it around. And yeah, hopefully that is soon in the next few weeks. All right. Well, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed my little ramble. Let me know what you agree with or what you think the problem is with Liverpool currently. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.